Paige Cedar, your natural makeup and skincare specialist for women over 30. Welcome to my bathroom. Today I am going to show you my no concealer, undetectable under eye technique. But before I show you that, I need to show you the steps that I take to get to the no concealer method and what I would teach any of you who are wanting to try this method, my process, okay? I might do some eyeshadow too, okay? I kind of get going and then, anyway, here for the under eyes, but I'm gonna do a full face. Okay, hi, welcome everyone. Hi Jennifer, hi Erica, bring it. Okay, I'm gonna bring it. Please ask any questions in the comments as we go along. I will do my best to see them. And if I miss anything, you can always message me. Sabina said make it on brown skin too. I have an awesome tutorial on women of color that you need to go check out if you haven't already. It's on my feed. Hi Jackie. Okay, so first things first. This is the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest misconception that we have about under eye concealer, under eye makeup is a lot of times we target it first because it's like the most distracting thing on our face, right? And so we're like, oh, we need to like get rid of these dark circles or bags or whatever we're feeling subconscious about. And so it's like the first thing that we attack with our makeup. But I am here to tell you that when you understand color science and you understand like lights and darks and balancing shadows and lights, all the things, okay? If you balance the rest of your face first, and then you go back and do your under eyes, you will find that your under eyes are not near as distracting as you think they are, especially when you follow this method and you do it the right way. So, rule number one, do your under eyes last in your makeup routine, okay? Rule number two, actually, we'll get to rule number two. Let's just go ahead and get started. By the way, hi, if you're new to my feed, welcome. And this is my all-in-one cream makeup palette I've been using for 10 plus years. I am a huge fan. I have yet to find I need to refill some tints, but I've yet to find a makeup routine I love as much as this. This is my tried and true bestie. You can go to colormatch.pagesevere.com and I can give you a custom color match. Okay, the company is called C, by the way. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add contour and or bronzer to the areas where contour and bronzer go. Okay, so I'm just taking a little bit of Astoria. I kind of like to mix it with Cedar. Cedar's a little bit warmer, almost like a bronzer, like a bronzer on me. So I just want to tap between those two. I'm using the detail brush and I just go in with my contour first. Yes, even before foundation, because I am like a natural makeup girly. I like my makeup to be very light and very subtle, but I like it to do the job. And so this is the method that I would teach you if you like the same kind of vibe. If you're like, I don't wanna look like I'm wearing a gallon of makeup when I step outside of my bathroom mirror. Okay, then we are going to chisel out the cheekbones just a little bit. I used to be like a psycho about my contour on my cheeks, but lately I've just been doing a little baby amount. I prefer it. I think it looks a little more natural. You can just come right up on the cheekbones. You can get this makeup, it's linked in my bio. It's available in the US, Canada, and the UK. So we're not in all countries yet, but they are working on getting to Australia and Mexico sometime this year. So all my Australia girlies, you gotta watch for that. Okay. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the Astoria because it's more of a neutral cool color and I just stamp it on the sides of this brush. I like this brush. Sorry guys, I'm just getting over a cold. I like this brush because it's really good for beginners. It's got these nice straight lines. And I just come down the sides of the nose like so. And then I just create a little V at the base and then I just kind of brush in like this. Okay. Someone said, how do you order? Yeah, you can, if you order through me, I'll be your like personal little artist and I have amazing customer service. I follow up with you, I check in, make sure your colors are perfect. So I would love to help you with that. So you can just go to colormatch.pagesevere.com. Okay, next up is I typically don't wear foundation, but in the wintertime, I like a little bit more coverage around my mouth area. This is where I just have a lot of acne scarring. And so I'm just gonna take the small side of the buff brush. It's a little bit more dense. This is a really great brush if you want more full coverage. And I'm just gonna tap into my base shade, which is White Peach, which by the way, if your tints start looking like this, you can just throw them on the stove on like low and melt them down to a liquid. And then once they melt down to a liquid, just take them off and they'll cool and be like completely filled again. So it's a great way to get every last bit out of your compact. So I'm just gonna tap and stipple. Sorry you guys for the sniffling. Okay. Hi everyone, hi Claire, hi Emily. Thanks for hopping on. Okay, so a little tappy tap around the mouth. And again, we are not touching the eyes. We are doing the under eyes last. What I love about this makeup is just how beautifully it mimics the skin, and it's so extremely lightweight. So just adding the tiniest bit of coverage there. And then I am going to go in with my blush color, and I really like to use Plum. Plum is such a pretty color if you are more cool toned like me. I'll show you what it looks like. It's got a little bit of warmth, but again, I'm very cool toned, so everything pulls extremely warm on me. Oh, Claire, no, never stop using Saint. Still use it every single day, absolutely love it. I just introduced like a skin tint serum I had been using, love that too. But Saint is my ride or die. Have not gone away from this. Okay, so this is Plum. And then I'm just going to do this. I like to do this on the back part of my cheeks. I create like a little ombre blush just right above my contour. Everything is crazy pigmented, so you just need the tiniest amount. And then on the apples of my cheeks, I like to use a more poppy blush. I'm gonna go with this shade today. This is Petal. A lot of artists don't use Plum, I think because it is so cool toned. And I feel like there's just a lot of more warm skin tones. It's usually more popular color. So these are really good for skin tone girlies. So this is Plum and then Petal. So I'm gonna do Petal on the apples of my cheeks. And it's got a little bit of a sheerness to it. Like, look how soft and pretty she is. Just really subtle. I really, really love Petal. Okay, all right, blush is on. All right, so now we are gonna move to the under eyes. You guys look at, I am like clearly postpartum. I've got all these little postpartum baby hairs coming in. So under eyes, here's the magic, okay? Here's the trick. The first thing you need to do is you need to look, it's really helpful if you do this in natural light, by the way, especially as you're learning. Once you kind of learn the method or the technique on your under eyes, you could do this in bathroom lighting, but I'm gonna tell you, you should do this in natural light. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I am looking for light pockets around my eyes. Like, okay, so what I mean by that is, obviously I have more discoloration here, but next to the discoloration, see how it's a little bit lighter? Then I've got a little bit more lightness here and here. So I'm just looking for like those pockets of lighter skin next to the most distracting or dark points. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a small kind of fluffier brush. This is the spot brush. Mine's just black, but this is the spot brush. I'll show you the one that they have. This is just dirty. Oh my gosh, you guys need to wash my brushes. Okay, so looking for those light pockets, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tap into my bronzer shade or like a warmer contour, same thing. I'm gonna use Cedar for this case, and I'm gonna look in a mirror, and I'm just gonna barely add color in the area where it's lighter, next to the darkest point. And what we're trying to do with this method is we're essentially just meeting in the middle of the color. I know it sounds bizarre, but I'm telling you it works. Now, I've seen like a bunch of TikTokers and Instagrammers make reels where they're like bronzer under the eye versus concealer under the eye. And maybe they've seen my method, I don't know. But that's not what you want to do. You are not putting bronzer over the entire under eye, because all that's going to do is it's going to darken the darker areas. We're not trying to do that. So you make sure that you are only adding the bronzer shade in the lighter pockets around your eyes, not on the dark spots. I've had people be like, wait, I don't want to make my under eyes darker. Yeah, you will do that if you just put it on like a concealer. And that's the other thing is, look at like how little of product we're using. We are using the tiniest amount of product just to kind of, like I said, balance some of the lighter spots around the eyes. Okay, we've got that balanced. Step number 2 with the under eyes is now we're going to target, or we're going to neutralize the area with the most discoloration. And here's another thing I want to say is a lot of people have this expectation that this method is going to be like a concealer and it's just going to create a white blank space under your eyes. That is not the goal with this method. The goal with this method is to have virtually undetectable makeup on your eyes and to just kind of balance and soften everything. Having a little bit of color under your eyes is what looks most natural, okay? You might see, I'm gonna go on a rant about this. You might see tutorials of people like putting on this concealer and it's so satisfying because it's like, oh, it's so bright and it looks so good. But I'm telling you, 95% of the time, that concealer does not look good in person. It's just smoke and mirrors, you guys. It's smoke and mirrors. Like when you see it in a photo or a video, it's totally different than when you see it in person. And my goal is to teach you methods that look good in real life. So you might not get the payoff, like the satisfaction of like the white blank sheet underneath the eyes when you do this method, but I'm telling you, it's gonna make you look 10 years younger and it's just magic. Okay, so now I'm going to neutralize this kind of purpley blue section. So this is where we're using color science, right? So the opposite of purple and blue would be orange and yellow. But you need like a lot of concealers, right, are like orange, yellow, or beige, but they're usually a combination of a bunch of colors. We need exact colors. So I'm going to use a yellow-orange exact color. It's very sheer. Again, taking this fluffy side, and I'm just barely tapping this just in that corner where I've got that purpley blue. The tiniest amount. Right there. See how I didn't go all the way underneath my eye? Just like, and look at that. Do you see how subtle that is? But like immediately changes the game, right? But you don't see texture. Like if you guys would never know that I was even wearing anything right there. That's the goal. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing on this eye. This yellow-orange one. Little tappy tap right in that inner corner. If you have, it's like really deep purpley blue, you just need more orange. And so in that case, I would give you an orange yellow one. But most people either need yellow orange one or orange yellow, just depending on the depth of color that you have there. Okay, just tap it out. All right, now I want to address just these little like hollow lines, which are already drastically minimized with this technique. And I'm going to use just a straight orange for this because it's darker and more shadowy. We know that if anything looks shadowy on the skin, it means that it's blue and it needs orange. Someone said my under eye is red. Oftentimes redness on the skin is actually a lot of excess purple. And so you will probably still need a yellow orange. Someone said, can you share the colors you use for under eye at the end? Yes, I will share in my stories. Okay. So then we're gonna take this orange 3 and I'm just going to put this right on the blue line. Someone said, what do you use to neutralize really deep brown? So really deep brown usually, again, is excess blue and sometimes blue and green. So you might just need a red orange, a little bit of a red orange. I find that deeper skin tones oftentimes need some of that red orange. And you guys, what you could do is you could even take, for my women of color that have the really deep skin tones, you could take a red orange blush and you could do this same method. It's just all about placement and using a minimal amount. Okay, same thing on this side. We're using the small side of the brush. The other big mistake I see people make with this method is they just go all ham and they like apply a gallon of product underneath the eyes and they're like, it's creasing, it's not lasting, it's because you're using way too much. You're treating it like a concealer or even a color corrector. Technically, these are considered color correctors, but it's the technique. It is the technique and the placement that's what makes all the difference. And I'm telling you, when I do this, it doesn't budge, it lasts all day, my under eyes look amazing, like there's no creasing because you're using such a finite amount of product. It's amazing. Can you still use red orange on pale skin tones? Yes. Yep, there's a lighter, I think they have a red orange one. It's a really light color. I don't have it in my palette, but I really like actually red orange for the outer corners of the eyes where it kind of gets like muddy. Like if you have a lot of sun damage, you can get what's called like a muddy kind of under eye. And that's the other thing, is a lot of under eyes might have freckling or dark spots, and that's what's going to contribute to the excess darkness. So if you balance with a little bronzer around the dark spots, and then you go in and you target the darkest spots with the orange, you can grab these colors, they're linked to my bio, just shop Saint, and then go to the correctors on the website. You can find all of the corrector shades. I always recommend getting color matched, just so you have a professional expert, but if you want to just go grab your own shades, go in there, get the color correctors, and then grab the spot brush. So I'm just adding a little bit of 01. This is just a lighter orange, just to the outer edge here, creating a little bit of a lift. You guys, is that not just magic? Like, look at, do you see how, like, you can still see that I've got, like, it's not white, okay? I still got some color under there, but it's so much more balanced and it's so beautiful. Okay, so if you guys want to get color match, you can go to colormatch.pagecedar.com and I will help you. I also have, like, I'll share some little story slides in my stories today of like common combinations that I give people. Yes, and I color match through photos. It's all virtual. This is not like in-person color matching. So you just send me a little selfie in natural light and I can color match you. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my look for today. So if you want to stay on and see how I do my eyeshadow and come hang out with me, let's do it. Okay, now I'm gonna show you, for all my new friends here, I'm gonna show you my favorite way to line my lips. And I like, ever since I started doing this, I haven't gone back to the old way of doing it. So I know I'm a weird makeup person, okay? I don't do what a lot of makeup artists do. So I put a little bronzer in an ink pen. You can just get this on Amazon. So this is just a self-tanner, a liquid self-tanner in an ink pen. And all you do is just twist the cap at the top. You just twist it and it will squirt out some self-tanner. And I just create a little lip line. And I'm telling you, this is the best long-lasting lip liner. I also use this as like an eyeshadow. I'm not gonna do it today. I'm gonna do something a little different, but. So just kind of apply around my natural lip line, buff it out. It looks a little dark at first, but I'm telling you, when you apply your other colors, it's just the best. Like, it stays all day long. Okay, lip liner is done. How easy is that? And it's just gonna like process and stay. It'll get a little bit darker, but that's why I just like immediately I buff it out because I don't want it to get too dark. And you want it to look really soft. You don't want it to look like this harsh line. Sorry, I'm gonna use a little bit of my color correctors here. That's the other thing that I love these color correctors for, is if you have, this is the best for acne or scarring. It's the best because it doesn't create added texture. So if you're like, oh, I just have these little spots I wanna get rid of, you need Y01, O1, and O3, or OY1, best color correctors for acne spots too. Someone said, can you please share the links for the pen and self tanner? Yes, I will link them in my stories after my live. I wish that like I could do it while I was live. That would be really helpful. Okay, I'm just gonna fix up these little scars here. Just using a little 01, a little tappy tap, remove the excess. And it's just the best thing ever because I get to cover up my little acne spots and scars, but I don't get the foundation mound, you know? You know what I'm saying? No one wants that. Okay, so we've got our lip line on. I still like to add a little, I almost use this like a lip base. And this is actually technically a lip liner, but I like just to deepen it up a little bit with this lip liner. This is just a NYX, I think the shade is Taupe. So just kind of add a little base color. And then this is Cindy. We're gonna do some pinkies today. Just gonna pop on a little Cindy. And then a little bit of Petal over the top, which is the color I put on my cheeks. It's really bright and poppy. I know, but I'm in a springy mood, okay? And then I just do Saints. This is their marshmallow lip oil. I love the color of it. It's like I don't know. I just like it. She's cute, huh? Okay, let me do my eyes next. I typically do my eyes first, actually, before I do my full face, but here we are. Okay, so for my eyes, I love to keep it pretty like neutral. I'm not like a super colorful eyeshadow kind of girl. Like every once in a while, I'll do some fun eyeshadow, but I like to keep it pretty neutral. So the first step is I always line my waterline versus on top because I have deep set eyes. And if you have deep set eyes, lining the top of your lashes is like the worst thing you can do for your eyes because it just makes them look so heavy and small. Which, by the way, you guys, I have an amazing eyeshadow guide. If you're like, how do I know like what my eye shape is, how to apply for my eye shape, I created a very extensive eyeshadow guide for you. It's also in my bio. It's amazing and it has a bunch of links to products. It's based on your eye color. Okay, so I'm gonna take the Etch brush, which this is just Saints like liner brush. And they have a cream liner called Black Friday. So I'm just gonna take this. I also like, I'll use liner pencils too. I just ran out of the one that I really like. And I just come underneath the lash line, like so. Guys, this is so hard to do on your phone. Hold on, I'm just dabbing my eyeball. Okay, I'm gonna do the other eye. Okay, I might need to look in my mirror, so excuse me. So just line her up. And then easiest wing ever is you just come from the bottom of the lash and come out like that. And like, it doesn't need to be perfect because you can clean it up, but like so much easier than trying to do a fancy wing eye. And I feel like it works for most eye shapes. Okay, then I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna use a little primer. This is just the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. This stuff works so well. I'm just gonna tap a little bit of this on here. One thing people ask me about like the concealer method is, you know, if they feel like they need to use a little bit more or want to use a little bit more and they don't want the creasing, like how do they ensure that it doesn't crease? To me, the less amount of product that you use, the better it's going to stay, obviously, because your skin underneath your eyes is so delicate and so thin. And so the more product that you use, like it just inevitably is going to crease. Any company that's trying to tell you that their beige concealer isn't going to crease is lying to you. Because like if you're just putting a gob of makeup underneath your eyes, like your eyes move the most. It's just gonna move no matter what. But if you haven't already, you can try using a tiny dab of like an eyeshadow primer and putting that on first before you do your under eye makeup. If you're like, no, I want the concealer vibe, but I don't want the creasing, just use less, blend away with your fingers and try using the eyeshadow primer. Okay. That's dry. Now we're going to do a base color. And I am using, guys, I cannot remember what this eyeshadow is called. Oh, I'll have to link it in my stories. Okay, So I just sweep this all up in my crease, and I'm using the spot brush actually. I don't know why lately, I've just been really liking this brush for eyeshadow. And for my deep set eye shape, I always create, I call it the swan eye, if you're new here. I come in and then I feather up and out, like picture that's like the head and then the wings. So I leave a little bit of space right here, but not too much, because the more white space I have underneath my brows for my eye shape, the more pronounced my brows, like my brow bone looks, and makes my eyes look heavy. So I actually like to cover up a lot of that white space. I don't put anything shimmery or shiny here because I do not want to bring attention to the brow bone, because it actually makes my eyes look heavy. It makes my lid look heavy. So we're just gonna come in. See how I'm just like coming up like this? We're creating this little swan shape. Feather up. And like, I always say this in and of itself is such a pretty eye look. Like I would feel so good just walking out the door with just this one color, and truthfully, it's what I do most days. But then if I want to add some contrast, I'll take a little bit of Trust, it's my favorite brown, and I just come right in the outer corner of the eye, right next to the wing, and then I just kind of buff it in to the crease. So outer corner, buff. Just gonna add a little bit more here. I just think simple eyeshadow is always the best eyeshadow. The thing about using a primer though is, man, it does make it trickier to blend. So hold on, I might need my eyeshadow, my bigger fluff blending brush. Here we go. Because this guy does not want to blend with this primer. Come on. If it ever gets kind of stuck with your primer, like mine is doing right now, a little trick is to just take a little bit of a warm color and blend over the top, and that will help soften it. Or just take a fluffier brush and just blend the crap out of it. Pretty. Okay, that's all she wrote. And then I'm just gonna use like my natural light that I have on my lids to create that contrast. And then for my lower lash line, I'm just gonna take a little bit of the excess from this liner brush. Hold on, got a little fallout. And I'm just gonna come kind of like right in the lash line, super lightly. Like so. I'm gonna go for a more glammed up eye today. Like neutrally, but glam, I don't know. And then I just kind of like blend her out. By the way, if you're using a cream liner, I like to set it with a powder. So I'll just put a little bit of my eyeshadow powder on this and then just like stamp it over the top. And then that just kind of sets it in place. A cream liner is really helpful if you're like learning and you make a lot of mistakes, because it's really forgiving. Like obviously I'm doing right now. I'm just kind of like throwing this on here and cleaning it up as I go till I get it to look how I want. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a little bit of that brown. Obviously do this before you do your under eyes, because I'm probably gonna have to fix them a little bit. A little bit of that brown, and then I just kind of put it over the top of my liner. Just kind of smoke her out a little bit. Okay, what do we think? Cute? Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit more liner here and just create a little bit more wing. And then set it with the brown. Just tap over the top. Kind of connect it. And then I will just do a touch of mascara at have you guys tried the lash wand yet? I love this thing. It is the coolest thing ever. So I'm gonna take, this is Saint's new leather mascara. It's a tubing mascara, but it's like, it's not like a heavy tubing mascara, which I actually love for the lower lashes. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on this guy. And then, hold on. This is, again, where I need to look at my mirror. And I just kind of paint this right on the bottom part of my lashes. And what I like about using a lash wand versus just like the brush directly on the lashes is it's just softer. I don't know, you just have more control over how much product is going on the lashes, and it keeps it from getting too heavy or like clumpy. And it gives you more of like a baby doll lash. I'm always like, I don't know how else to explain it, but that's what it looks like to me. Is like, oh my gosh, she just has like these beautiful wispy long lashes, but it doesn't look heavy, because I don't love a heavy like mascara under eye. I mean, obviously I've got like a full on eye today, but anyway, so that's it. That's all she wrote. So yeah, normally I can do this in all of like 10 minutes when I'm not explaining everything that I'm doing. But if you guys want to get color matched for this all-in-one Korean makeup line, you can go to colormatch.pagesever.com, and then I will just set everything at the end with some setting spray, and I'm good to go. This one's like really strong, so you just gotta hold it back and then tap it in. Okay. Wow, I drenched myself. Just take a big fluffy brush and tap everything in. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, just shoot me a DM, or if you're my customer, shoot me a text, and I can help you with whatever and get you color matched. I hope you guys have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.